Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mike at Audio Freak, and today I'm going to show you Vox and Go's span for the Tuesday trick. I decided to do videos on span for the concept of this week because a lot of people are recommended Vox and Go span, but they don't know how to use it, at least to its full effectiveness. So this first video, I'm going to show you the controls of span, and in the next video, I'll show you some practical applications and the ways that I like to use it. So first, you have presets, reset, routing, which we'll get into in the next video, which group you're choosing, and hide meters and stats, which is pretty obvious. Up here in the top right, you have the settings. Let me pull this down. Here you have the size. I usually keep mine small. I just like it small. And I like the blue or the original. It's just a little easier to see the meters. But you can also change the color of the meters, so I guess that's pretty redundant, but whatever. Anyways, show hints. It just shows, see how it says down in this little area, it'll say little hints and stuff. So you can turn that off if you want. Minimize infrastructure just gets rid of this header area, as you can see at the top there. And density mode, this is actually the metering controls. So density mode, let's see if I play something. If you look at the meters, it just changed the way, it'll change the way that it works and reacts to the audio. So the integration, you got the release time, which is how fast the little peak meters go up and down, and the peak level and hold time. So if you want your meters to kind of fill up, there we go. This is the setting I usually use. Turn density mode off, have the peak time or hold time up high enough, and the release time, you know, something that you can look at and be like, oh, okay, that's what it's peaking at. And that's all that's really in the settings. I think the more important stuff is in this area up here. So here you have your mode. It brings you to the default usually, which isn't bad, but where the real, I guess, chunk of the program is right here in the editing tab. So we have RealTime Average, Max, Average, and RealTime Max. I recommend using the RealTime Average and Max. You can use the other ones and experiment with them, but I don't really have a use for them. So anyway, we have our entire loop playing here. But you can kind of see that it's a little spiky. Maybe I wanted to see a little more of the average of the spectrum. So what you want to do to turn up the resolution of the spectrum is bring up the block size. But once you do that, you notice it gets really choppy. So one thing that you can do is turn on the smoothing to 1/12 of an octave, and then it kind of smooths out the spikes and gives you more of an average. And then what you want to do is turn up the overlap. Now you can see it reacting more to the loop, and it's giving me more of an average instead of these little spikes that I'd have to make really small, tight EQ cuts to do, which can cause resonances. You can also turn down the average time so that you can really see it in real time. I wouldn't recommend going higher than 16,000. I mean, you can, but it starts to get really choppy at 65 and 32. Oh, 32 actually looks nice. So yeah, 32, that's nice, I like that. Anyway, beyond that, we have the frequency spectrum. So 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. You can change it if you like. But usually, since we can only hear up to 20,000 hertz, it's usually don't change that unless you're making music for like dogs or something. Here you have the range. It's automatically set at, I think this is 16-bit audio, but if you were working at 24-bit, you can set this to -144. So you can see your entire nose floor and everything. And that's actually good for seeing which plugins have good digital signal processing and which ones are adding noise. And then you also have your high, so set that at 0 for decibel full scale. And then you have your slope. It defaults at 4.5. I like to keep mine at 0. It's just a preference, really. And that does it for this tab, besides the spectrum disable, which is obvious. So beyond that, down here you have your metering. So I'm going to click reset, which will reset all the data that's been put in. So RMS is a root mean squared. It'll find the average of the audio that you're putting through it. So my average looks like about, I'd say about -19 because it kind of cut out. And it shows your crest factor as well, which is the difference between your peak and your RMS levels. If you're not mastering or doing like serious mix work, it probably doesn't matter. The crest factor, the largest crest factor is usually about 20 dB for like orchestral music. If you just want like dramatic climaxes and then good, releases. But the average electronic and rap and hip hop is pretty much about 5 to 8. So I don't worry too much about it. It also shows if you're clipping, how many clips you had, and it shows which channel it was in. So let's see if I can clip this real quick. Oh yeah. And the reason why it says 24,000 or 2,400 is because it works on samples. So there were 2,400 samples going on in that clipping during that little split second that I clipped in. And then you can also change your metering scale, which I always keep mine at decibel full scale. I don't really worry too much about that. And then the last thing is the correlation meter, which is actually really nice because I was using a Go Neo 3. It has to do with mono compatibility, by the way. So what you want, you want it to be around 1. If it starts going negative, then your mix is like starting to become non-mono compatible, and it'll play a lot differently on club systems. If they sum to mono, some things could cancel out, which is really bad. But it's the same concept here with this correlation meter. So as you can see, both sitting at +1. So this mix is highly mono compatible. If it wasn't, then it would be starting moving to -1, which is not good. And I believe that is about it, because I'm going to get into the rest of the stuff in the next video. So hope this helps you guys. Span is a great plugin. I'll see you guys in the next video in about 10 minutes. Thank you.